Hi guys, Happy New Year. It's 2014, it's January 2014, which means it's been a whole year since I made an update video. This is just a quick one because people have been asking how I'm doing. Not as many people have been asking me if I'm dead as they did before, so that's good. I'm not dead, as you can hopefully tell. But yeah, I've had a good year. 2013 was a pretty good year for me. This is the first full calendar year that I've had without cancer since 2009, which I realised at midnight on New Year's Eve, and I was like, oh my god, that's a really long time to not have cancer when you had it twice. Yeah. I was really happy about that. And it has been a good year. It's been, not that much has happened just because I've been back at work. I've worked full time throughout this year, but been on a couple of holidays. I went to Hong Kong with my boyfriend, which was awesome because I never thought I'd be able to travel that far away, simply because travel insurance is so expensive now. But I think the further and further away you get from treatment, the price drops quite a lot, so I managed to do that, and that was awesome. It was so good. I performed in a dance show in February, which I didn't think I'd ever be able to do again because I was dancing throughout chemo, but I didn't think I'd have like the stamina or just like the mental capacity to be able to do that again, because it's a lot of work doing one of those shows. There's loads of really long rehearsals and obviously like a week of performances, but it was so worth it and it was really good. In terms of health, I'm really, really good. I'm really good with my health. I haven't got any symptoms at the moment, no sort of obvious problems. My bloods are all good and generally I'm very healthy. Considering how stormy the weather's been and how cold and wet and horrible in England it's been, I haven't really had any colds or flu, which is good. Everything's just normal really. I just realised I'm wearing the same jumper as I wore in my last video. Let's just say it's to represent how much I've changed since last year. The only thing that's changed really is that my hair is a lot longer. I haven't had it cut once since it started growing back in April 2012. So if any of you are going through treatment or have just finished and you're wondering how long it will take for your hair to grow back, this is about 18 months worth of progress. It's a lot longer, it's just it's so curly, and a lot of people will find that even if your hair wasn't curly before, it's going to come back curly. So be prepared for people to start stroking your head and go, oh, you're so cute with your little curls, and you're like, yeah. But at least it's hair, isn't it? And you can always straighten it and stuff. Which is good. So I've now been in remission for nearly 20 months. It will be 2 years in May now, which is awesome. It's been nearly 2 years since I finished treatment, since I had my stem cell transplant, which again is just mental. I still can't get my head around the fact that it's been that long since I had any treatment, because it all just seems so fresh in my head, and I still think about it all the time. Since last year, nothing's changed on that score. It's still like the main thing that's in my head most of the time, especially if I'm on my own. It's always there in some form. I had a relapse scare in February, which I wasn't expecting. I went for like a routine CT scan because it had been a year since I finished treatment at that point. And I called up the hospital a few days later just to check it was alright, and my nurse said, well, something's grown in your lung, like there's been a change. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And at that point, it was the week where I was performing in my dance show, and I had to go and perform that night. But the whole time I was on stage, I was just thinking, so I've got cancer again. Yeah, I'm just doing a dance with a tumour in my lung, and it's great. And that was horrific. And I had to go for a PET scan just to check what was going on, and it was completely negative, and there was nothing there. And it turns out that I have something called a thymic rebound. I don't know if anyone else has heard of that. I hadn't heard of it until I was told that I had it, but basically the thymus gland, which controls the changes that you go through from being a child to an adult, during chemo it can shrink and just sort of not work very well, but after treatment it sort of, I don't know if it heals itself, if that's the right word, but it comes back, it grows back, but it overcompensates, so it grows larger than it should be. I think I suppose it's similar to having an enlarged thyroid, but with a thymus it doesn't really, as far as I'm aware, having an enlarged one didn't make any difference to my health or anything, but that's what was picked up on the CT scan. It was just a large, completely non-cancerous gland, which was a huge relief, obviously. But I think after that scare, it really made me more aware of the fact that I'm alive and that this cancer could come back at any point. And because I had Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's, it's like, well, I've got like 2 cancers that could potentially relapse, and it's just now I'm going through like a weird stage at the moment where I just still think that I'm just going to die or that it's going to come back, and I just can't get into my head that it might not. I'm sort of always preparing for the worst, and every time I get like a chest pain or anything unusual, I'm like, right, well, it's back then. But it's like I'm trying to prepare myself for something that might not happen, which I guess is a good thing, but at the same time it's not nice constantly thinking that you're going to die or that you've got cancer when you don't. I should just be enjoying the fact that I don't. I don't know if anyone else has weird thoughts like this, but it's strange how the further I've come from treatment, the more that these thoughts seem to be settling in. And I don't know if it is because now physically I'm pretty much fully recovered from treatment. It's given my mind, my brain, a chance to sort of process what's happened and all of the emotions that come with that, which you haven't really got time to think about when you're going through treatment, because you're just focusing on recovering and not throwing up all over the place. So I don't know, I try not to dwell on it too much, but it does seem to be getting more difficult, that side of things. So yeah, if anyone else is feeling like that, then it would be interesting to hear from you. But other than that, like, I'm really happy. I'm so glad that I am still in remission, and like everything in my life is going really well. I'm starting a new job on Monday, so I'm kind of nervous about that, but it should be good. I moved out of my parents' house in November. I'm now living with my boyfriend, woo, which is cool. Moving out was something I think was a huge achievement, just because it represented that I don't need looking after anymore, because obviously I was diagnosed at uni away from home, and then I had to move back home to be looked after, but now I can look after myself because I'm not going through anything, which is awesome. The only sort of major, well, not even major, the only sort of side effects that I think are settling in now from the treatment, I was told by the doctor I have Raynaud's phenomenon, which is a circulation issue with hands and feet, and it can also happen on your earlobes and your tongue apparently, but it's just where the circulation cuts off, and they say that that's probably something to do with the chemo, but I mean that doesn't really matter. It's just annoying if you've got cold hands, you can't feel what you're doing because they just lose blood and go purple, and it's like, my finger's going to fall off, but it doesn't. I still have a wheeze in my lung, which they say is probably just scar tissue from either chemo that caused my lungs to scar, or just scar tissue from the tumours themselves. Like when I breathe in, they flap around and make a noise, but it's not asthma, it doesn't affect my breathing at all, so that's fine. I hope that everyone who is going through treatment or has finished treatment or knows somebody who's going through it or is maybe in the process of being diagnosed with lymphoma, because I've heard a lot of comments from people who've said that they've found a lump or they've had nodes removed, and they're waiting on results. So I hope that either way, if it turned out it was a false alarm or if you were diagnosed and you're now going through treatment, I hope that you're alright. And it is really interesting reading your comments, so if people want to still share their stories, then that's great, because it's just really, I think it's really helpful to hear from other people, and sort of it makes you feel less alone, and it's just interesting to see like how everyone is so different in their lives, and then you all come together because of this random disease which happens for no reason. So yeah, keep on doing that. And I know I've had a lot of comments from people who are saying that I should have tried alternative treatments, and it was the chemotherapy that killed me in the end, even though it didn't. And I should have eaten all these weird vegetables instead, and that would have cured it. I'm not saying that that doesn't help. I think that having a healthy diet and exercising, looking after yourself, is important anyway. But when you're going through treatment, of course, it's important to stay healthy, because you want your body to recover as quickly as possible from chemo, and you want to not feel like filled with junk food and feel like crap and stuff. But I can 100% guarantee that the reason I'm alive today is because of chemotherapy, not because I had my 5 a day. That just might have made me feel a bit more healthy. Obviously it depends what stage you are, like what stage your cancer's at, what kind of cancer you have, the treatment that you've been given, but I would never say to somebody who's been offered chemotherapy to not have it, because that's going to kill them. Just, that's what I think. Obviously people have different opinions, and if you want to share them, that's fine. Just don't knock what other people say, don't make people feel like they're wrong, because medical science has cured millions of people, or at least prolonged the lives of millions of people with cancer, and that's all I have to say about that, really. Just keep on sharing your thoughts, but in a nice way, please. Anyway, I'm going to go now, but I hope that you all have a really happy 2014. I hope it brings you happiness and health, because without them, well, they're the most important things, aren't they? Anything else on top of that is just a bonus. So keep on smiling. Not like that, please. And yeah, good luck everybody. Stay strong, and yeah.